Oh, gotta do another one, y'all. Man, these ponies are just. What are we gonna do? Again. All in one day. We're ready. We see it. Are we ready to get at this? PlayStation moving away from hardware-centric business model doesn't mean what you think it means. Here we go again. Oh, I think I know what it means. Multi-conglomerate, multi-platform approach. Yesterday, after Sony's quarterly fiscal or financial conference call, a quote about PlayStation moving away from a hardware-centric business model by the SVP Sadahiko Hayakawa caused all sorts of panic for all the wrong reasons. They can't be thinking that. Don't worry, you're going to see this thumbnail because this is a salty thumbnail. Going down, neutral gamer. By the way, this is a pony website. For the longest, Nintendo stuff is okay, but if the ponies don't like it, downvote it. Doesn't matter if you say anything true, downvote it. Doesn't matter if they say anything false, upvote it. I've seen it for years. Okay, we got an article to get to too. We're gonna get to that. Don't worry, this all gets interesting here. Okay, so getting to this. This guy says it means they will evaluate which games they think make sense to release on other platforms. At least he somewhat acknowledges that, right? We're not done though. PlayStation isn't going anywhere. Yeah, of course. Sony needs PlayStation to be successful while Xbox is a side hustle for Microsoft. That's the biggest difference between the mentality. I mean, in a sense, I can get what you mean by that, because Sony needs PlayStation to succeed a lot more than Microsoft needs Xbox to succeed. 100%. And Nintendo even more than both. Sony wants gamers to buy into their ecosystem, while Microsoft now just wants to continue growth and profit. So no, Sony isn't going third party. And what are they doing? Going more first party? It's all timed, bro. That game's been over with on PC. And no, most AAA games will never see a release on any other platform besides PlayStation and Steam. We're holding this on this video, Mr. Neutral Gamer. He's a pony gamer instead, and we can put pony there. Because are we ready to continue? Would never. Never. I like that guy. Dreamcast guy here. That's what I want to talk about. See a release on any other platform besides PlayStation and Steam. Steam released later and game by game basis. This is where it gets even more funny. We must keep in mind development costs hundreds of millions. So if 3 years after releasing a huge game, Sony can bring that to another platform and charge full price for a 3-year-old game, that's a win for them. No, Sony's not going to do that. It's not going to work. Instead of understanding nowadays, gamers just jump to conclusions. That's what you're doing, talking about 3 years and all that, bro. They've been past that. There's even things about them maybe narrowing down the window more. Since they saw Xbox go full on third party, they think Sony will do the same. Nobody said they were going full on. Here goes this guy. Look, I'm telling you, I'm not sure it even has anything to do with considering titles for multi-platform releases. It's about how they strategize their platform. PlayStation, in terms of pursuing and championing hardware sales versus other more profitable forms of monetization. This is investor speak to some degree. Notice how he got more upvotes here, because this don't have anything to do with multi-platform. Oh yeah, the ponies love that. To be fair, gamers, they jump to conclusions partly because certain websites that don't know how to interpret what is said in an earnings conference call. Oh yeah, we're too dumb, we can't figure this out, y'all. They're too bright. Yeah, okay. Nor do they actually listen to the conference calls. They just grab out of context quotes from Twitter. No. Without doing any fact checking, encourage and inflame them. 9 upvotes, 1 down. See? Pony world. If you put everything together, including listing, this clearly wanting to go more multi-plat. This guy said this, right? Guys, watch this. 4 uplights, negative 14. This is how it is, by the way. It used to be worse back then when it was only PlayStation versus Xbox and the Wii U had that aspect. Boy, they were having a field day with the upvotes and downvotes, but things got more balanced over time, but it's still pony land. This specific statement, because I'm telling you, I used to tell you guys, there used to be posts on M4G, like a lot, that are non-PlayStation related, like an Xbox only post, a Nintendo related post, so they come in there, PlayStation this, downvoting everything, which is toxic, man. Like this little cult going online and putting their toxic rainbows all over the place for Sony. Sony. This specific statement most likely means they're focusing on engagement and monthly active users. Yeah, at least we know that. Those metrics are often associated with LS. Also, that statement can also be said about non-LS games as well. Live service, by the way. Maximum profits and engagement of games. About non-live service games as well. Oh boy. Maximum profit and engagement of games. So yes, multi-platform live service release definitely expands your platform-centric engagement, just like the Xbox has been doing. Those metrics are often associated with less hardware-specific numbers being interested if they still talk about hardware. Going back to the job listing, they will be doing more multi-platform release. Or start with older games for a while, then slowly move to newer releases. Not day and date. They have no plans of that, but a year and a half afterwards. Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I say some where they'll narrow it down to 6 months, but that's not verified or even a rumor. That's a good way to guess things, though. He has a more reasonable guess rather than being a fanboy. So, important note that Xbox Next Console will have multiple storefronts. I said this before, but Sony makes more money from an Xbox-specific port rather than a Steam down. If Sony wants to get ahead or make more money, they might make those specific Xbox versions of those games. If I was to put it all together, Sony does have interest in multi-platform. If I had an account, I would give them a like, but I'm never going to have an account to post to be that serious. But one thing I like about this post is that he realizes that the demographic of a PlayStation game would be at a higher ratio on Xbox than it would on Steam if they have more people. It would even show, but it's a good point of view. So let's get over to this article next. Guys, I'm taking this for a thumbnail, but we're gonna do something more interesting. Look who wrote it. Giuseppe Nerva. Nah, we ain't doing that. That's okay though. But this is interesting. Let's get to the meat of this. Okay, as we mentioned in our speech today, in the game business, for example, we're moving away from a hardware-centric business, as we know, towards engagement. While clearer and more complete, this quote taken out of context is being completely misinterpreted. I got y'all. Completely misinterpreted, right? There we go. By websites, influencers, and users. Misinterpreted. This is partly due to the fact, very conveniently, as we mentioned in our speech today, has been omitted from most reports, like intentionally. If you knew that the quote refers to a previous speech, you'd want to know what was said in that speech, and you would be less inclined to just accept a quote out of context. No, bro, I even made a video and read the whole thing. I know what they're saying. These people are just, once again, this is just copium damage control. Of course, in order to report what was said in the speech, those who wrote the content that is currently misleading the internet, oh my God, would need to have actually listened to it. But they didn't, because they're simply reporting from sound bites bounced off social media without really fact-checking. Dude, this is funny. Where else is Sony? You know, it's so funny. In that report, they even included hardware, by the way. This person is an idiot. As mentioned in the speech, right, in the gaming business, we're moving away from a hardware-centric business more to a community-based engagement business, and that has been increasing. So, what is Sony's biggest hardware seller? The biggest focus on hardware. We were talking about hardware manufacturing, right? Movies, nobody buys Blu-rays. What, manufacturing music CDs? Yeah, let's be quiet there. Shut that all down now. Just want to see what y'all got. You don't got nothing. So you ain't got nothing to say. Because when you're moving hardware a lot, and you moved a lot of hardware on PS4, you moved a lot of hardware on PS5, and you know you're going to move hardware on PS6, and you got the handheld coming, instead of focusing on worrying about hardware, they're moving more to a centric business with live service to have a more community-based aspect that is engaging more in their games across all devices on a live service sense. And whatever games you want to select outside of that, that's what it means. That's how you interpret. Instead of trying to make these copium websites, because you can't get Sony's cock out of your mouth and in a way that's exclusive PlayStation only. Yeah, no, we just got to say it, man, because that's getting annoying now. As we mentioned in our speech today, in the game business, in the game business, for example, we're moving away in the game business, hardware business, game business, hardware business, community boost engagement, live service, increased stability for our earnings because you're stabilizing the base and you're getting more stable income daily, and you got that whole operation 250,000, 300-something thousand. You know what I mean? You don't want them distracting you from first party. You're changing your whole approach to a live operation now. It's going to be to where, now y'all get those first parties going, and all of you are going to be helping out with live service and taking all the weight off of them. Now Sony's still doing their first party, but without live service interfering and having all these other people help out with the other platforms. Let me help you out here. You see what I'm saying? You ain't bullshitting me. Me with your little but long knee. Sony. Okay. While clearer and more complete, this quote taken out of context, I took it out of context, is being completely misinterpreted by websites, influencers, and users. Let's keep going down, though. Incidentally, the speech indicates the prepared remarks at the beginning of each financial conference call. You can find the official transcript on Sony's Investors Relations website. You already know. You'll notice that nowhere in that speech is there any mention of moving away from hardware or even a hardware-centric model. Man, y'all, I swear. I swear. No. I swear. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I actually listened to the conference call live, as I always do to craft our reports, and can confirm that no such thing was uttered during the prepared remarks. Hayakawa-san is likely referring to what you can find on page 11 of the transcript and in our report, and that's actually news, unlike most of what's making people panic. I ain't panicking. I got one, but it's all good. Third party anyways. Basically, what that says is that users have been spending more than they did in previous generations, so focusing on growing engagement instead of simply focusing on selling as many consoles as possible is economically more profitable. This dude is running in circles. Now I thought you said they weren't talking about hardware. What are you talking about? Hayakawa-san simply made a mention in passing, while making examples about investment shifts and other business segments. He certainly had no intention to make a big announcement that would have shaken the gaming internet at its core. It's not a big announcement. Helldivers 2 is already out. This very concept was expressed clearly by Chief Financial Officer Lin Tao when she made this report. Hardware units were the focus, but now it's monthly active users. Once again, we're moving from hardware again to something else. But this dude is... I don't understand how he quotes what's right underneath his nose, and he's that slow. The management approach has changed, and I think this is a major change in policy. It's due to our CEO's strong leadership that our management is focused on engagement and monthly active users that is leading to profitability. Like I was just saying earlier. Hardware, engagement, monthly active users, profitability, live service expansion. But PlayStation moving away from hardware-centric business model doesn't mean what you think it means. Why are they making this complicated? Oh my God. So no, Sony isn't moving away from the hardware. Nobody never said they were like that. They're just expanding out more. And there's no indication that they're going to embrace a multi-platform strategy as radically as Microsoft did. Why does it have to be that? That's not what anybody is saying. What Sony executives have been saying since 3 months ago is that they're not going to focus anymore on selling as many consoles as they can, but they don't need to. But instead, they're focusing on the acquisition of engaged monthly active users since their average spend is much higher than it used to be, obviously. We shouldn't forget that hardware sales are done at a loss for much of a console's lifetime. Not anymore. We already know about that. So, let's end this here. This is so. Going back to the statement, he says, when they do wake up hours later, they simply check social media for these juicy sound bites and out of context. And then they do their thing, often getting them wrong because they lack context and specific experience. Ultimately, this is definitely a case of don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Outlets that you can trust on this topic usually present extensive reports with plenty of context. If you see short articles focused on a single controversial quote with little or no context, you should definitely take them with a grain of salt. For now, you can rest easy. PlayStation hardware is very likely here to stay. Whoever said that it was ending, I don't understand. Where does it say PlayStation hardware is ending? Let me know what you guys think about this. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what's going down. Ponies, sit down. Good Lord, man. Later, y'all.